That is the Columbia River cutting its way through central Washington, eroding millions of years old basalt lava. And to get back to the interstate, we're going to travel through a feature unique to the channeled scaplands, which were formed by Ice Age floods. A series of floods were in the last glacial period, when glacial dams repeatedly formed and allowed water to build up behind them and then broke, allowing huge floods to come scour the land. But we're going to travel up through Frenchman Coulee. And a coulee is basically a canyon, a valley scoured by those Ice Age floods. And it's a pretty unique landform. The floods came from northeast Washington and Montana, in the general Spokane area, and Missoula. Matter of fact, the glacial lake that repeatedly formed and flooded was called Lake Missoula. Ice Age Lake Missoula. But around this bend up here, we will see, I think we'll get our first look at the coulee. And it's pretty spectacular when you realize what actually caused this. It was one of the aha moments in geology when they finally realized what forms this, what creates this landform. And as you can see, hopefully off to the left, there's a valley, and it goes down toward the river. But as we head up the valley, you can see it's a huge gouged out area. It was all created by a flow of water. You can see the basalt cliffs on both sides, on the left side at least, and we're going to water around behind the one on the right. But up at the head of the valley, there's a dry waterfall, which was formed by the massive floods, the waterfall coming over that resistant cliff up there, and then scouring out this whole area that we're in right now. And these are everywhere in this area, as the streams came many times, as the floods came many times and scoured out the landform. If you look up on the right, you'll see a formation that's basalt, but when basalt forms, it comes in contact with cold water, it cools rapidly and forms these columns instead of one solid mass of rock. I think we'll get a chance to look at some close up here. And they're pretty cool because they're 8-sided or 6-sided. Here are some that have been served as graffiti canvas. They're not the best examples. If you see the one standing up top center, you can see the jointed appearance of the columns. Hopefully we'll find some good examples before we get out of this central Washington. Going straight ahead, you can actually tell how they're formed in those segmented pillar-like appearances. we'll get out and take a walk and look at some of these, but it costs $30. And it's not, it's a state park. So I think I'll pass. Across the road maybe, or across the valley, you can see where some of those column-like formations are. There's actually an industry where they're more defined. They cut them out and sell them to people for decorative items and landscape items. Well, we're up at the top of the coulee where the water in front of us, the water actually cascaded over here and began to cut out the valley we just came up. God's wonders never cease.